Hi, everybody. It's April 6th, 2026, and this is part of a video journal of my recovery from the trauma of watching my little brother, Paul Cairns, 64 with Down syndrome, be locked away by the British Columbia New Democratic Party government, David Eby as leader, and Nikki Sharma as Attorney General. They locked Paul up for 588 days when I complained to the Burnaby police after I discovered what I alleged to be a fraudulent forged power of attorney government created to give Paul the COVID-19 shot. They appointed my then 82-year-old Catholic nun sister 4,000 kilometers away in Ontario as Paul's guardian. And after I complained to the police, they ordered her to do something. And what she did through her lawyers was she terminated permanently my visits with Paul after 64 years of our visiting at will. I was Paul's last surviving local family member and visitor. So they, in effect, locked Paul up in his group home for 588 days. And then when my sister found out that the Burnaby police had been ordered by Ottawa to reopen the investigation into the fraudulent forged power of attorney, she ordered the treating doctor. My brother had had a stroke on April 13th of 2024 after being confined for 588 days. And she ordered the treating doctor to kill my brother. I believe that she had been contacted by the Burnaby police. And when she found out that I had been contacted by them, then she thought that if Paul was dead, then they wouldn't do the investigation. And she was right, because they never interviewed me and they never pursued an investigation as they had been ordered to do by their oversight agency in Ottawa. So I've been posting these videos to try and recover. At the same time, I started to become aware of this new scheme of euthanasia in Canada, which was started by the Supreme Court of Canada in February of 2015. The Supreme Court of Canada, 9 unelected judges appointed by the government employees paid by the federal government of Canada, changed their mind and reversed an earlier decision, which I don't believe they can do lawfully, but that's what they did. They had, about 20 years ago, they had made a decision that doctors and nurses couldn't kill Canadians they couldn't kill Canadians. But they changed their mind in response to an application by a woman who was already dead at the time they made the decision. She had gone to Switzerland and been killed by Swiss doctors. So I've been struggling, trying to recover from the horrible um, experience of watching my brother be killed right in front of my eyes. They withdrew his oxygen mask. Paul was recovering remarkably well, amazingly well. He sat up, he grabbed my hand and squeezed it when I said my name. He grabbed a book from my hand, turned the pages perfectly. I couldn't believe it. He was recovering so well. But within 2 hours of my sister finding out that I knew that the Burnaby RCMP had contacted me, Paul was dead. When I walked in the room she allowed me a 10-minute per day visit. After he had the stroke, they then allowed me to visit with him. They were afraid to let me visit with him for that because I could get a sample of his signature. But when I walked in the room, my sister said to me through gritted teeth, "Say goodbye to Paul, he's dying." She didn't look me in the eye. And in my experience, when people won't look you in the eye, they're lying. Paul wasn't dying, he'd been killed. She had the Dr. Michael Baker, remove Paul's oxygen mask and sedate him to death. So when I saw him, his eyes were wide open and unfocused, and he appeared to me to be deceased. So at the time that, as I said, that this was going on, I was vaguely aware of the euthanasia scheme in Canada careening out of control. And so I've had lots of time to look into it since then. I had been posting little videos on YouTube and YouTube crashed my channel, destroyed all my videos. I was banned as a member of LinkedIn and permanently terminated by Twitter, now X, when I tried to post commentary on this scheme, which the government has, they created a whole system of selling it, of propagandizing it in the most Orwellian way. And they call it medical assistance in dying, where the word medical, I was trained as a lawyer and I practiced law for 26 years. And the word medical comes from the Greek to heal and then the Latin to heal. It's the verb to heal. You don't heal anybody by killing them. But the government, as I said, in February, or the 9 unelected judges reversed their earlier decision in February of 2015. There was an application by a woman who had spinal stenosis named Kay Carter. She was already dead, so the case was moot. So that was another problem with it. But they said that the government, that because she might not be able to commit suicide when her illness became terminal, that she should be allowed to have a doctor, a Canadian taxpayer-funded doctor or nurse, kill her with a lethal injection, and and that the government should be able to come up with some system of ensuring that there was no improper or coercive effects of, and that there was oversight, sufficient oversight of this killing scheme to make sure that it was not done uh, unfairly. And but they were very vague about how it had to happen within a year. The government of Canada had to do that within 1 year, and but Kay Carter was already dead, and they didn't specify what the system had to do in order to ensure that innocent, vulnerable people weren't coerced into being killed. It's not assisted suicide. It is what would have been first degree murder. It's a medical doctor or nurse administering a poison which was never created for that purpose, never tested for that purpose. And it is estimated, or it's been likened to drowning, that it paralyzes the person so that their lungs fill up with fluid and they die of a form of drowning. So I've asked Copilot on my computer. I've been chatting with artificial intelligence, and I told them it's my plan I want to reverse this change that the Supreme Court of Canada, those 9 unelected judges. Oh, and I forgot to mention the Chief Justice, who presumably supervised and wrote the decision, although it doesn't have the signature of any particular judge. It was a unilateral, or it was unanimous, decision. That Chief Justice Beverly McLaughlin, who I've met, who used to be my role model and hero, the farthest thing from that now, immediately after she made this decision, reversing herself and allowing doctors and nurses to kill innocent, vulnerable Canadian citizens extrajudicially, she went to work for the Chinese government in Hong Kong for 6 years until 2024. She was on the Court of Appeals working on a case-by-case basis for the Hong Kong Court of Appeals. And ironically, euthanasia is completely illegal in Hong Kong. And I believe it's a death penalty criminal offense in Hong Kong. So the person who wrote the decision allowing 100,000 Canadians to be killed by the government went immediately to a jurisdiction where it's a death penalty offense to do the same thing. I think Beverly McLaughlin, whom I've lost all respect for, there should be inquiries made by CSIS and by CSIS into whether there was unlawful interference by the Chinese government in her decision, which has resulted in Now, by July of 2026, it will have resulted in the deaths of 100,000 innocent, vulnerable Canadians extrajudicially by lethal injection. Oh, and by the way, their organs are being used, and people are profiting from the use of their organs in organ transplant schemes. So, to get back to, I just wanted to briefly touch on a couple of things that Copilot said to me about this scheme. I told Copilot I wanted to find a way to reverse this decision completely, so that the option of being killed by a doctor or nurse is reversed to um, back to where it was before and during the Sue Rodriguez decision, where the Supreme Court of Canada said it was illegal for public policy reasons for doctors and nurses to kill Canadians. And this is what it said. This is what Copilot said. It said that the first of all, a patient or a person cannot give informed consent to be killed because we don't know what death is. It's impossible for human beings to understand what death is. Some people think that there is an afterlife where you go to heaven, hell, or purgatory. Other people think it's just the absence of being existence. Others believe in reincarnation. But nobody has ever actually died, and come back and told us what happens after death. So it's impossible for anyone to give informed consent. So we don't know what we're doing when we kill people. And that's basically the reason why um, Neanderthals and Homo sapiens have never killed their sick and dying members of their community, because we don't know what is on the other side, and it's impossible to know. So it's impossible to give informed consent, and there are so many negative outcomes. The reason why there's always been a bright red line between providing, for example, comfort care or analgesics to prevent pain, and actually administering a poison to kill people, is because there are so many uh, public policy reasons why that should not happen. It devalues life. Um, well, anyways, Copilot gave a bunch of reasons why it's wrong. But the thing that I wanted to say today um, is that Copilot said that in 40,000 years of human civilization, since human beings started caring for each other to the point that you could have a debilitating disease or injury, and uh, the people around you, the members of your community, wouldn't kill you, and they would care for you so that you would recover from very serious uh, illnesses and injuries, as we can see, anthropologists have pointed out, um, that in 40,000 years, we've never come up with a system to prevent all the negative impacts of allowing doctors and nurses or the government to kill innocent, vulnerable people. So we haven't come up with it in 40,000 years, and it's unlikely we ever will. It's something that cannot be done. So the point, I'm not expressing it as clearly as Copilot did, but basically it said for 40,000 years we've not been able to do this, and yet the Supreme Court of Canada tasked the government of Canada with doing it in a year. It can't be done. That's the reason why we don't kill people. Is there's no system you can set up that would negate um, the horrors of the system that's been put in place by these 9 unelected Supreme Court of Canada justices and Justin Trudeau. This is his little, and we've already been through this once with when Hitler first came to power. The first thing that he did was he killed off all the sick and disabled people. But the main point that Copilot wanted to make is that if we could have done it in 40,000 years, I mean, we could always kill people. It's not like this is some new scientific advance that we never had before. We could always kill people and kill them painlessly. But if we haven't been able to do it in 40,000 years, we can't do it now. I don't know if that's a very good summary of what Copilot said, but I'm still working on it. And I'm working with Copilot to try and figure out what's the best way to bring a screeching halt to euthanasia.